My name is Daniel Hayes. I'm 48 years old. I work as an electrician, and for the last 3 years, I've also been a full-time son. My mother, Evelyn, is 76. She lives with us, in the small room at the end of the hallway, the one with the floral curtains she picked herself, the one that always smells faintly of lavender and medicine. She can't walk on her own anymore. Her hands shake. Her memory slips. Some days she knows my name. Some days she calls me by my father's. He's been gone for 20 years. My wife's name is Laura. We've been married for 16 years. No kids, just us. And now my mother. When Mom moved in, Laura said all the right things. We'll take good care of her. She's family now. She won't be alone. I believed her. I wanted to. I needed to. At first, things were fine. Dinner together at the table. Laura helping Mom to the bathroom. Pills sorted in little plastic boxes. Nurses coming twice a week. Then the night started. It began so small I almost missed it. A floorboard creak. A soft door click. Light under the gap at the bottom of the hallway. I'd be half asleep. Somewhere between dreaming and knowing. And I'd hear it. Footsteps. Slow. Measured. Going from our bedroom to my mother's room. Always around the same time. 2 a.m. 2:15. 2:23. Never earlier. Never later. At first, I thought I imagined it. Old house. Noisy wood. Wind outside. But then it kept happening. Night after night. Week after week. One night I woke up properly. The room was dark. Laura wasn't next to me. Her side of the bed was empty. The blanket still warm. I listened. Held my breath. There it was. The faint squeak of the hallway board near Mom's door. Then the soft rattle of her doorknob. Then silence. I sat up. Part of me wanted to go check. Part of me didn't want to disturb whatever was happening. Maybe she was just checking on her. Maybe Mom needed water. Maybe Mom needed help to the bathroom. That's what a good daughter-in-law would do, right? The next morning, I asked, "Did you go to Mom last night?" Laura didn't look up from her coffee. "Yeah." She was restless, she said. Had another nightmare. I calmed her down. Sounded normal. Sounded caring. I nodded. Didn't think more. Then Mom started saying strange things. One afternoon, while I was feeding her soup, she grabbed my wrist. Her grip was weak, but desperate. "Daniel, don't let her come at night," she whispered. "Who?" I asked. Her eyes darted to the door. Her lips trembled. "She stands over me. She says things. I don't like it." "Mom, who?" I repeated. She opened her mouth, then closed it again. Her eyes went cloudy. "What day is it?" she asked instead. Just like that. The moment slipped away. I told myself it was the dementia. Mixed thoughts. Confused images. Old fears. But something in my chest tightened. That night, the footsteps came again. I stared at the ceiling, eyes wide open, counting each creak, imagining my wife's silhouette passing down the hallway. In the morning, I checked on Mom. There were dark circles under her eyes. She looked exhausted. "Did you sleep?" I asked. She shook her head. "Someone was in here," she said. Her voice was soft, almost like a child. "Mom, that's just Laura checking on you," I said. I tried to sound gentle, reasonable, logical. Her eyes filled with tears. She shook her head harder. No, that's not checking." Before I could ask what she meant, she turned her face to the wall and refused to speak. The guilt started that week. Guilt for doubting my wife. Guilt for doubting my mother. Guilt for not knowing who to believe. Little things began to bother me. The way Laura rolled her eyes when Mom called for me. The way her jaw tightened when I said I'd sit with Mom for a while. The way she said, "Your mother, not Mom." One evening, I came home early from work. The house was quiet. Too quiet. I walked down the hallway. Mom's door was half open. I heard Laura's voice inside. I stopped. The words were low but sharp. "You're making this hard on him," she said. "You don't even remember what he does for you." Mom's reply was a shaky whisper. I couldn't make out the words. I stepped back before they noticed me. Waited in the kitchen. Pretended I had just arrived. When Laura came out, she smiled. Too quick. Too wide. "Hey," she said. "How was work?" I kissed her cheek. It felt wrong. Like kissing someone with a mask on. That night, I couldn't sleep at all. The knocking in my chest was louder than any footstep. I picked up my phone. Searched for something I never thought I'd need in my own home. Hidden camera for elderly care. Scrolling. Reading. Watching. By midnight, I had ordered a small camera. Motion detection. Night vision. Silent. Discreet. It arrived 2 days later. A simple little device. Harmless looking. Like a baby monitor. Or a clock. My hands shook when I opened the box. I told myself I was doing this to protect Mom. To give my mind peace. To prove that everything was fine. Or to prove it wasn't. That afternoon, while Laura went out for groceries, I slipped into Mom's room. "Mom, I'm just tidying up," I told her. She watched me with those tired eyes. Didn't say much. I placed the camera on the bookshelf, next to her old porcelain angel, facing the bed, covering the whole room. A small green light blinked, then turned steady. It was on. Recording. That night, the footsteps came again, softer than ever, almost like they knew they were being watched. I lay still, eyes open in the dark, my heart pounding in my ears. Every creak of the floor, every whisper of movement, every breath beyond our door, all of it, for the first time, was being captured. The next morning, Laura left early, said she had errands. I waited until I heard her car leave the driveway. Then I went straight to the shelf, straight to that tiny, blinking device. I plugged it into my laptop, sat down at the table, hands sweating, mouth dry. The file name was simple. 2:14 night. I clicked play. And, as the footage started, I had no idea that the next few minutes were about to destroy the life. I thought I understood. I stared at the screen for a long moment before pressing play. My hands felt heavy, as if they already knew something my mind refused to accept. The footage opened with Mom sleeping on her side, her blanket pulled up to her shoulders. The room was dark except for the soft glow from the night light in the corner, the one she insisted on keeping. For the first few minutes, nothing happened. Just the quiet rise and fall of her breathing. Then, at 2:11 a.m., the hallway light flickered on for a second. It didn't stay on, just a flash, almost like someone bumped the switch. But it was enough to make my chest tighten. A few seconds later, the camera caught a shadow outside her door. Tall. Still. Not moving at all. Just standing there like it was listening. My stomach dropped. I leaned closer. The shadow shifted slightly, and the shape became clearer. I recognized the outline immediately. It was Laura. She waited there for almost 30 seconds, not entering, not knocking, just standing still in a way that felt wrong. Then she turned the handle slowly and slipped inside. She closed the door behind her without making a sound. I watched as she walked up to the bed. She didn't check the blankets. She didn't look concerned. She simply stood over my mother, her body stiff, and her head tilted slightly to the side, as if she was studying her. Mom didn't wake up. She slept through it. But Laura wasn't calm. There was something else in the way she looked down at her, something cold, something strained, something I couldn't recognize in the woman I married. Then she leaned closer to Mom's ear. Her hair fell over her shoulders like a curtain, blocking the camera's view. I couldn't hear what she said, but Mom's fingers twitched. Her shoulders tensed. Even in her sleep, she reacted. Laura whispered for nearly a full minute. Too long for anything comforting. Too controlled for anything accidental. I felt a pit forming inside me, a heavy, sinking weight I couldn't shake. After whispering, she stepped back and stared at Mom again. Not moving, not blinking, just watching her. The kind of stare that drains the air from a room. Then she turned toward the camera. Just a little. Not enough to see her face fully, but enough that I saw her expression change. Her jaw tightened. Her shoulders stiffened. The shift was small, but it was there something heavy pressed behind her eyes. I felt my throat close. Part of me wanted to stop the video. Part of me couldn't look away. Laura reached for Mom's pillow. For a moment, my heart stopped. But she didn't touch it. Her hand hovered over it, trembling just slightly, as if she was fighting something: anger, frustration, exhaustion. I didn't know. I didn't want to know. Then she dropped her hand and sat on the edge of the bed. She whispered something again, but this time Mom woke up. She opened her eyes suddenly, startled. Her hand shot out and grabbed Laura's wrist. Not in anger, more like fear. She looked terrified. Laura pulled her hand back sharply. Too sharply. Mom flinched. And then the camera caught something that froze my blood. Something small, but unmistakable. Laura leaned in again and said, in a soft but firm voice, "You need to stop telling him things." I paused the video immediately. My pulse hammered in my ears. I could feel heat rising up my neck. My entire body went numb. This wasn't checking on her. This wasn't caregiving. This wasn't love. Something was happening in that room at night. Something my mother had been trying to warn me about. Something my wife had been hiding behind a smile for months. I pressed play again, my heart pounding as the footage continued. Because whatever came next, I knew I wasn't ready for it. I replayed that final sentence again and again. You need to stop telling him things. Every time I heard it, something inside me twisted tighter. It wasn't the tone of a worried wife. It wasn't the tone of someone trying to help an elderly woman. There was authority in it. Pressure. A warning. I leaned back in my chair and rubbed my hands over my face. The room felt smaller somehow, like the walls had moved in while I was watching the footage. I tried to breathe slowly, but my chest kept tightening, as if my body already knew where this was headed before my mind accepted it. Laura came home around noon. I heard the garage door open, the sound of bags rustling, and her usual footsteps in the hallway. I closed the laptop immediately and forced my heartbeat to slow, or at least tried to. My pulse still thudded against my ribs, loud and uneven. She walked into the kitchen with a smile that felt too practiced. "Hey, babe," she said. Her voice was light, warm, familiar, yet suddenly I felt like I was listening to a stranger pretending to be someone I knew. I swallowed hard and nodded. "Hey." For a few seconds, neither of us said anything. She unpacked groceries while I sat at the table pretending to check emails on my phone. My eyes weren't reading anything. My fingers weren't even scrolling. I was just buying myself time. "How's your mom?" Laura asked, casually, without turning around. "Sleeping." Her tone was even, calm. But now, after watching that footage, every word from her mouth felt layered. I didn't trust myself to answer immediately. "She had a rough night," I finally said. I kept my voice steady. Neutral. Safe. "I think she's been anxious lately." Laura paused for a moment. Her hand froze midair, still holding a box of cereal. Then she put it down slowly. "Yeah," she said. "She's been confused. It's getting worse." I studied her face, searching for something, anything that might explain what the camera showed. Was she stressed? Was she overwhelmed? Was there something happening in her mind that I hadn't seen? Or was this something darker? "I think she's scared," I said quietly. Laura turned toward me. Her expression softened in a way I wasn't expecting. But her eyes looked tired. And underneath that tiredness was something else. Something flickering. Something she was holding back. "I'm doing my best, Daniel," she said. Her voice trembled just slightly. You don't see what she's like at night. You don't hear the things she says, the things she accuses me of. I blinked. What accusations? She hesitated. Never mind, she whispered. It's nothing. But it wasn't nothing. And she knew I knew. The tension in the room shifted instantly. Before I could ask anything further, we heard Mom call from her room. A faint, shaky sound, almost like she was afraid to be loud. I'll go, Laura said quickly. Too quickly. Before I could stop her, she was already walking down the hallway. I watched her go. My mind flashed back to the footage, the shadow at the door, the whispering, the trembling hand above the pillow. A heavy dread settled in my stomach. I waited a few seconds before following her, moving quietly down the hall. Laura's voice drifted from inside my mother's room, low and tense. Mom's voice followed, fragile and scared. I couldn't hear their words clearly, but the tone was enough. I stopped just behind the slightly open door, and what I heard next made me freeze in place. I waited until Laura left for her afternoon shift, then sat down with the laptop again. The first night's footage had shaken me, but something told me there was something I had missed while drowning in shock. So I opened the second recording. The next night, 2:19 a.m., just like before, Mom was asleep, curled toward the edge of the bed. The room looked still, safe, ordinary. But the moment the hallway light flickered, every muscle in my body tensed. Laura appeared again, moving with the same slow, careful steps. She closed the door gently, but this time she didn't pause by the bed. Instead, she knelt beside the nightstand and opened the drawer. Mom's drawer, the one with her inhaler, her anxiety pills, her emergency call button. My stomach twisted. Laura took the emergency button out, stared at it for a moment, then placed it on the very top shelf of the closet, far out of Mom's reach. I leaned closer to the screen, hardly breathing. She whispered something under her breath. The microphone didn't pick it up clearly, but a few words slipped through. Makes things worse. Too attached. Needs to stop relying. Then she sat on the edge of the bed. Her face was more visible this time, and the look in her eyes wasn't stress. It wasn't exhaustion. It was something colder, like resentment carved deep inside her. Mom woke up suddenly, breath trembling. She tried to sit up, but Laura pressed a hand gently, too gently on her shoulder, almost forcing her back down. It's all right, she said softly, but you need to stop telling Daniel lies. He doesn't need to know everything. Mom looked terrified. Her lips shook. She whispered, "Please, don't do this tonight." And Laura smiled, a slow, unsettling smile. Then stop making him doubt me. I paused the video, my heart punching against my ribs. This wasn't caregiving. This wasn't stress. This was control, manipulation, maybe something even darker. And for the first time, I realized my wife wasn't protecting my mother. She was controlling her, silencing her, shaping what I believed. But why? I wasn't prepared for what the third night's footage would show. Not even close. I didn't wait for another night. I didn't need more footage. Everything inside me had already reached a breaking point. When Laura came home that evening, I was sitting at the table with the laptop open. The paused frame showed her hand on Mom's shoulder, her expression sharp and cold. She froze in the doorway the moment she saw it. "What is that?" she whispered. "You tell me," I said. My voice wasn't loud, but it carried every ounce of the anger and fear I'd been holding inside. She stepped closer, slowly, her eyes locked on the screen. "Daniel, you're misunderstanding." "No," I cut in. "I'm watching exactly what you do at night." Whispering to her, hiding her emergency button, telling her not to talk to me. Why? Her lips trembled. Her eyes flicked toward the hallway, toward my mother's room. For a moment, she seemed almost scared of what? I couldn't tell. "She's turning you against me," Laura said finally. "She lies. She mixes stories. She causes problems between us. I'm just trying to protect our marriage. I felt a cold wave wash over me. Protect it? I said. By scaring her? She didn't answer. Her silence told me more than her words ever could. And then Mom's voice called from her room, fragile, frightened. It broke whatever was left between us. I stood up. Stay away from her tonight. Laura didn't move. She didn't speak. She just stared at me with an expression I'd never seen before, an expression that told me the truth was much darker than I had imagined. That night, I stayed beside my mother's bed until she fell asleep. She held my hand the entire time, afraid I would leave, afraid Laura would come back. I realized how long she had been carrying that fear alone. The next morning, I called a nurse service and arranged full-time care. Then I asked Laura to pack a bag. There was no yelling, no dramatic scene, just a quiet, heavy truth between us that couldn't be undone. She stood by the doorway, eyes red, breathing uneven. I wasn't trying to hurt her, she said softly. I just couldn't share you anymore. I didn't reply. Some wounds don't need answers. She left the house without looking back. Mom is safer now, calmer. She still wakes up some nights, but when she sees me, she relaxes. And I've learned something I never expected. Sometimes the person you trust the most becomes the one you must protect your family from.